Good morning all. In this video we will discuss the classification of defects or classification of imperfection that is taking place inside the solid. So what is the actual requirement of studying these imperfections or uh, discussing about the defects that is taking place in the material? There are different classification of defects. Certain types of defects which we are intentionally adding to the material, and there are certain type of defects which takes place during the different stages of processing of that particular material. Either it can be taking place due to solidification process or crystallization process, or it may be happening in various manufacturing route like casting time, or during the time of powder metallurgy, or the time when we are adding this particular material, or the time when we are extracting this particular material from the nature. Okay, so any material in its pure elemental form in the sense which we are available in the periodic table, is the ideal condition of that material. So any other types of small material which is found in the elemental form, that can be considered as an impurity or a defect. So there are certain conditions in which naturally these defects will be occurring inside the material lattice, and in certain condition for improving the properties we will be intentionally adding these types of defects. For example, in the case of metals, if you are considering a metal, for example brass, the pure elemental form of that particular material is the copper. To improve certain properties, we will be adding a certain amount of another material. For example, in the case of brass, we will be adding zinc into the copper material. That particular process, which normally we used to say alloying process, actually alloying is can be considered as a defect in the material, because it is a process in which we are adding a foreign material which was not existing in the material or the parent material. So parent material is the copper. To copper, in order to enhance the properties, we will be adding certain amount of the impurities, or zinc is added to enhance. So in certain conditions we will be intentionally adding certain foreign particles or defects, and in certain other condition it occurs naturally due to the processing route or other conditions. Another example is we are doping the semiconductor material in the ICG. So the defects which are naturally occurring can be classified into four classes. First one is point defects, second one is line defects, third one is surface defects, and last one is the volume defects. So the total crystalline defects can be classified based upon its size or its appearance as point, line, surface, and volume defects. The point defects are also called as zero dimensional defects. Line defects are also called as one dimensional defect. Surface defects are called as two dimensional defects, and volume defects are called as three dimensional defects. First one, we will discuss the point defects. Okay, when we consider a crystal lattice, the atoms are arranged in a periodic fashion or a random fashion, depending upon whether it is crystalline material or amorphous material. To the particular lattice, if you are considering a crystalline material, if one atom is missing from its exact lattice point or the location where it is intended to position, we call it as a vacancy defect, which is the first type of point defect or zero dimensional defect. So vacancy actually represents an atom which is missing from its regular lattice position. Vacancies are present in various materials. And second type of point defect is the interstitial defects, where an atom which is moved from a position which actually creates a vacancy, and it get fit into another position which was not its actual position, or it is getting trapped between some intermediate position between some certain other atoms, which is called as interstitiality defects. So we can see from the figure, one atom is missing which creates a vacancy, and that particular atom get into the interstitial position or the intermediate position between certain other atoms, which creates another type of defects which is called as self interstitiality defect. Okay, and the third type of point defect is the impurity, where we are having any foreign atoms occupied into the crystal lattice. In the case of self interstitiality as well as vacancy, there is no foreign atom presence in the lattice, but if another foreign atoms is present in the material, we can call it as another type of point defects which is called as interstitiality defect. When we consider the interstitiality defect, there are two types of interstitiality defect. So interstitiality defect or interstitial defect, sorry, not interstitial, first one is the interstitiality due to the self atoms, and another type of interstitiality is due to the foreign atoms. So in one case, if an atom is occupying in a position in the lattice to a intermediate position of the existing atoms, in the second case a foreign atom is coming and it will be occupying a position in between these foreign atoms. So there are two types of interstitiality. Okay, next we will consider the impurities in solid solution, which is the next class of point defects. So any foreign atoms which is coming and occupying the lattice points or intermediate positions in a particular parent atom, we'll consider it as an impurity atoms or foreign atom. So a pure metal consists of only one type of atoms. So an impurity or foreign atoms from another material will come and occupy the position. Normally this will takes place during alloying process. We already discussed alloying can be considered as an impurity. So in alloying, intentionally we are adding this impurity. So impurity atoms will be added intentionally to create or to improve certain properties of the material. For example, if you are considering the sterling silver, it consists of 92.5% of silver. We will be adding 7.5% of copper to it. Another example is the well-known stainless steel. We will be adding copper to the steel in order to enhance the corrosion resistance property. So the chromium atom will be adding to improve the corrosion resistance property. So chromium we will be adding, it is a foreign atom. So the parent concentration, it is the concentration of the steel. So in certain case, adding impurities or alloying can significantly enhance the property, the mechanical strength, the corrosion resistance, the wear resistance, oxidation resistance, etc. This process of adding impurity or this process of alloying can be also called as solid solution. This is one well-known term which commonly we use to specify for what we say compounds of one or more elements, or this adding impurity or adding foreign atoms to improve the impurity. Commonly we will be calling it as alloying, and technically it is called as solid solution process. So solid solution is nothing but it is alloying or adding a foreign atom or a group of foreign atoms into a particular parental atom or parental element in order to enhance certain properties. So the addition of impurity atom to a metal will result in formation of solid solution or a second phase, depending upon the type of impurity, the concentration of the impurity, and the temperature of alloy. So when we say a solid solution, if you are considering a material, for example, if you are considering a liquid solution, for example, if you are considering a water in which we will be adding salt or sugar, and if you are stirring for some time, we can see this salt or sugar getting dissolved into the vacant space present in the water. So finally it will be a liquid solution. Similarly, in alloys, actually there is no liquid state. So generally by solution we used to mention it is a liquid solution. So in solid state, when we are adding more elements to a parent material, we will be terming as solid solution. That is how the term solid solution came for the alloying process. So similar to the normal solution or the liquid solution, we have a solvent or host atom and we will be having a solute. So the solvent or the host atom represents the element or compound that is present in the greatest amount, or which is the parent material. We used to say parent material, and solute is the alloying element or the impurity atom which is used to add it to this solvent in smaller concentration or minor proportion. So depending upon the position in which these atoms, this foreign atom occupy, there are two types of solid solution. First one is substitutional solid solution and second one is interstitial solid solution. Substitutional solid solution, actually it will be substituting a parent atom and it will be replacing the position of the parent material. Okay, in the case of interstitial solid solution, it will be occupying a position which is actually a vacant space between the different atoms, because like we know in the case of atoms are not 100% packed. We will be having vacant spaces or void spaces between the atoms. That is why we used to determine the atomic packing factor. The maximum possible efficiency of atomic packing is 74% or 0.74 atomic packing factor. So there will be an existing of minimum 26% vacancy in between atoms. So in the case of interstitial solid solution, normally the foreign atoms will be tending to occupy a position which is in between these vacant spaces. So the substitutional solid solution, which is the first class, which will replace an existing atom, and the interstitial solid solution, which occupies the position in between the atoms. Okay, so substitutional solid solution, actually it will replace the existing atom, which means it should be replacing the existing atom, so it should be having certain properties. So these properties which is required for the substitutional solid solutions, normally we used to mention, it is Hom-Rothery rule. These, it can be considered as a set of rules. Okay, the first one, or the foremost requirement for the formation of substitutional solid solution is the atomic size difference between the parent atom and the solute atom must be very less. It should be less than 15%, which means it is going to substitute the existing parent atom. So the size should be more or less similar to the parent atom. Second one is the electronegativity property, or it should be having a similar electronegativity. Third one is it should be having the same crystal structure. Then only it will occupy the same lattice position. And last one is the valency of the atom should be same. So these four conditions are known as Hom-Rothery rules. These are the requirements for formation of the substitutional solid solution. Example for substitutional solid solution is copper nickel alloy. Okay, copper nickel alloy is a well-known example for substitutional solid solution, which means if you are adding copper to nickel material, or if you are adding nickel to copper material, it can actually replace the parent atom. For example, if you are considering the nickel into the copper lattice, so it can exactly replace the copper atom and it can reposition it the nickel atoms. So why it is coming as a substitutional solid solution is because if you are considering the four requirements of the Hom-Rothery rule, the first one is the atomic size. The atomic radii of the nickel is 0.128 and that of copper is 0.128 and nickel is 0.125, which is very much similar. Both have the same crystal structure, which is the FCC crystal structure, and the electronegativities of the both are same or similar, 1.9 and 1.8. And last one, the valency, they have commonly similar valencies. So all the requirement for formation of solid solution is satisfied, so it can form substitutional solid solution. So copper nickel alloy is an example for substitutional solid solution. Second classification is the interstitial solid solution. So as I told earlier, for formation of the interstitial solid solution, atoms should be occupying in a position which should be in between the vacant spaces of the existing atom. So one requirement is the size of the atoms. In the case of substitutional, the size of the parent and the foreign atom should be more or less similar. Whereas in case of interstitial solid solution, it should be occupying a position which is in between the parent atom. So the size of the foreign atom should be very small, or the size of the impurity atom should be very small, such that it can accommodate in the void space between the parent atom. So the size of foreign atom should be very small when compared to the size of parent atom. So the maximum allowable, and as a result it can maximum occupy the interstitial void space. So the maximum solubility of the foreign atom in the parent atom is very less. It is limited to maximum of 10%. So maximum we can dissolve a 10% of foreign atom into a parent atom by using interstitial solid solution formation. One well-known example is the carbon. Carbon, we know, if you are considering steel is composed of iron and carbon. So carbon actually forms as interstitial solid solution when it is added to iron, and the maximum concentration of carbon is 2%. When we are considering the size of the carbon atom, it is 0.071 nanometer, the atomic radius of carbon, and when we are considering the size of the iron atom, it is 0.124 nanometer. It is much smaller when compared to the size of the iron atom, so it can easily occupy the vacant space and such that it can form the interstitial solid solution. So carbon in iron is a well-known example for the interstitial solid solution. So next classification of point defects or the zero dimensional defect is the imperfection which is taking place in the ceramic materials. Okay, so the atomic point defects taking place in the ceramic materials can be classified into two. First one is Frenkel defect, second one is Schottky defect. And similar to the metal, the point defects can also take place, which is the vacancy defects, and similar to that of metals can also takes place. So in the case of ceramic material, we know it is ionic compounds. The bonding takes place by sharing of or the transfer of electron from anion to cation or positive to negative charge. So in ceramic material, we will be having positively charged material particles and negatively charged particles. The vacancy of the positively charged material, which is the cation, can create defect. Vacancy of negatively charged particles can create defect. So anion vacancy can take place, cation vacancy can take place. Another classification of defects in ceramic material is the Frenkel defect. So Frenkel defect as well as the Schottky defects normally takes place as pair. So Frenkel defect is a cation vacancy and a cation interstitial pair. So cation vacancy plus a cation interstitial pair, we will call it as Frenkel defect. It takes place by, or it is formed by, a cation leaving its normal position and it is moving to an interstitial site, which means a cation is displaced from its original position and it will be occupying another position. So as a total, if you are considering, there is no loss of material from the lattice, so the charge or the electrical neutrality is maintained, which is very important for the ceramic material. Second one is the Schottky defect, which is actually a cation vacancy and a anion vacancy, which is taking place from the lattice, which is commonly calling it as a Schottky defect. So a cation plus anion is missing from the lattice. Again, since it is taking place in pair, the cation is removing and the anion is also getting removed. So again, the electrical neutrality or the charge neutrality is again maintained. So Schottky defect is the presence of a cation plus anion vacancy taking place in the ceramic material. So we can see first one is the Frenkel defect, which is the repositioning of the cation from its original position to a interstitial position. Normally cations will be having smaller size when compared to the anion, so probability of movement or the occupying the interstitial position will be always the cation. So Frenkel defect normally taking place by movement of a cation from its normal position into an interstitial position, whereas Schottky defect, it is the absence of a pair of cation plus anion. In the both case, the electrical neutrality is maintained. Okay, thank you.